I've had a few people ask me about what spiritual bypassing is or what my opinion on spiritual bypassing is, so I really want to take a crack at doing this justice. Spirituality. So let's get right to the nitty-gritty bit, to the bare bones of what spirituality is. What is the human spirit? To me, the human spirit is the fire, it's the passion, it's the meaning that underlies all of our physical, mental, emotional experience, aka consciousness, awareness itself. This consciousness, this awareness, this drive to understand, to see, to expand, this is the spirit that drives all things. This is why we have a mind. It's why we have our emotions. It's why we have our physical bodies, because all of this is a vehicle, essentially, to expand the soul, expand the spirit. Now, speaking of this vehicle, right, this temporal experience relating to our physical life, this earthly reality, our emotions, our mind, the things that we can see, the things that everybody would agree upon. All right, this is real. This is how reality works, right? We live in a reality that operates based on laws of physics, laws of science. We've studied this for hundreds and hundreds, thousands of years. So when somebody awakens spiritually, essentially their consciousness is awakening out of being identified with the physical or the emotions or the mind, because when you're not awakened spiritually, you think you are a mind, you think you are your emotions, you think you are a physical body or a combination. Spiritual awakening, though, is to remember and recognize, no, I am not those things. I am that I am. I am consciousness. I am aware of my human experience. I am not the personality. I am not the human. I am not all of these things. I am operating within this temporal experience in order to expand and to know myself more deeply. Essentially, like consciousness itself, right? If we look at God consciousness, source consciousness, it is one, it is whole, it is already complete. But what we are doing here is we are experiencing the completeness in the realm of separation. And we are seeing all the myriad, infinite ways that consciousness can play itself out in different forms, okay? So that's a lot to take in all at once. But if you've awakened, then you understand this principle. So we'll get to the bypassing part here. Bypassing to me essentially is any form of behavior or mental, and this is the thing too, I feel spiritual bypassing is not really even spiritual, it's more mental than anything. It's more mental bypassing, using spiritual concepts or sort of religious thinking that we pick up in the systems that we use to mentally configure our spirituality. So, for example, New Age spirituality is full of lots of spiritual bypassing, with half-baked spiritual concepts, or people who are trying to operate through life using or operate through this temporal human experience, and that's the system that we're all operating in, right? And trying to avoid some of the more uncomfortable truths of their own experience or the experience of the system that we live in, right? Because spirituality is not necessarily about repressing or avoiding anything. It's about seeing all of it. Spirituality is about being able to see everything from like an even playing field, to be able to accept. The whole point of awakening and your awareness is to accept and see all. Hopefully through a lens of non-judgment, which we are, again, also humans though who judge. So that's also part of this temporal human experience. Judgment itself, our egos themselves, this is all part of the human experience. So spiritual bypassing to me would be like somebody who believes that they are like egoless, for example. Somebody who thinks they've done all the spiritual work, and because they understand ego and because they try to pretend they don't have an ego, or try to like do all these practices to avoid the ego, that they suddenly think they don't have an ego, when in reality we all have egos. This would be like a form of spiritual bypassing. I'm trying to think of an even better example though. Okay, let's take like law of attraction work, for example, or the manifesting community, because this is a very bypassy place to me. So bypassing when it comes to manifestation. So there's a lot of people who believe that you cannot focus on anything but love and light, anything but positivity, anything but like this very like echo chamber sort of reality that you're trying to create in order to manifest it. That's kind of only half the story. So that if you're only focusing on positive love and light, you know, what's comfortable to you, what feels like it's comfortable and has no resistance to you, okay, that's good to focus on most of the time, likely, but it does not negate the fact that we are all operating in a co-created reality. We don't operate in vacuums as individuals, okay? We operate in a collective world, and all of us are technically part of that one source, that one consciousness, that one spirit, right? All having different human experiences to play itself out. So although we're not responsible for each other's experiences and choices, we do still have a responsibility to understanding that we are part of the whole, and to having humility that we are all part of this whole, okay? So it's important to still have compassion and to have an understanding and empathy of what's going on in the world, what other people are going through, how these systems are working, like to have an understanding of like the cold, hard reality of things. It's important. It is still important to understand all of that. If we're having difficult emotions, it's important not to bypass or repress those emotions. It's important to let ourselves feel those emotions, see those emotions, so that we know how to choose differently. So the point is not, with spiritual bypassing, when we tell people like don't spiritually bypass, the point is not like to tell people, oh, now you suddenly have to be just miserable and in the suffering of the world and you have to be focused on that all the time. The point is, it's just about being aware, more aware, right? Expanded consciousness. Our consciousness expands the more aware we become, and it only seeks to make you a deeper, more holistic human being and spirit, to be able to hold the light and the dark, the difficult and the easier parts of life, the comfortable and the uncomfortable. And this allows us to also transmute and alchemize. We can only really build and create a life from where we're at, right? Like where we are at in this present moment. Once we can see that in its fullness with clarity, now we know how to start taking steps towards a better life. So yes, I do believe that we should be focused on what is good, what we want in life, because again, law of attraction, it's like you are going to just create more of what you're focused on and more of like who you are. And if all that is you focusing on the suffering and the difficulty and the darkness of the world, and that's again what elite structures are banking on you doing, that's how they use and control the masses, is through fear. Although I don't believe we should be completely focused on that, I do think we should be aware of what's going on. We should be aware of what's happening. Like intelligent, well-informed human beings. So we can be aware, but we can also have the discernment to know when it's important to take a step back and when it's important to go, okay, I know what I can control, I know what I can't control, and I know what is worth me putting my energy into and what's not, right? This is the discernment. This is the wisdom that comes from spiritual awakening. It's you have awareness of all these different parts of the human experience, all these different parts of reality, all the light, all the darkness, and now with that awareness, you can choose how you move forward and how you create your reality and what you contribute, right, to the whole. Because again, it's not just about us. It's not just about our single individual reality that we're creating. Although that's beautiful and that's important to focus on, we have to also remember like what we are creating individually also is affecting the whole, and it's all interconnected. So I hope that helps. I hope I explained that okay. That to me is kind of the spiritual bypassing trap that a lot of people fall into, especially in religion and especially in religious systems, which I would say New Age spirituality can be very religious. Like again, religion in itself is not a bad thing, because certain religious beliefs and systems can help us get closer to our spirituality. It's when these systems start to deny aspects of reality, or they start to deny people's experiences, that's when it starts to get bypassy. So that's the tea. It's not about trying to tell people like, oh, you shouldn't be feeling that way, just focus on the love and light. Well, no, that person's feelings are valid. Everything is cause and effect. Like we are creating reality all the time, subconsciously or consciously, whether we realize it or not, and we're all part of that whole. So It doesn't matter if someone's creating something you perceive to be good or bad or love and light or not. It just is what it is. And you have to have the humility to understand that everybody's on their own path, and what you can do is up to you, and what other people can do is up to them. And all you can do is shine in your most authentic light, the best you know how, while still having compassion for the collective and the whole. All right, that's it. That's the tea. I'm going to leave it there. I hope that helped. Love you lots. Take care.